The mission for this presentation is to introduce you to the basics of one of the powerful web service technologies out there, REST. At the end of it, you will learn the return of the dragon or the return of HTTP, the basics of the various HTTP methods, what RESTful services are and why they are so famous, or the advantages of RESTful web services. If you have accessed a Facebook page, if you have liked a friend's photo on Facebook, or if you have accessed your emails, you have already used a RESTful service. A RESTful service or REST web services use HTTP. HTTP is the foundation of RESTful services. Although HTTP is out there for quite some time and all our web applications we have been building for years are based on HTTP, even web services, SOAP-based web services use HTTP, but they don't realize the complete potential of HTTP, or they don't use everything that's available in HTTP. Whereas RESTful makes the best use of HTTP and all the methods that are available in HTTP and expose out a common interface, common and easy to use interface. HTTP, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, has all these methods as a part of its standard. The GET method is used to retrieve some data, or should be used to retrieve some data from the server. The PUT method is used to update or add data onto our application or onto a database. The head method does the same as GET, except for there will be no response body. There will be only the header in the response. The options is used to know what all options are available from a particular server, what all methods a particular server supports, etc. Last but not the least, POST can be used to retrieve information or update information. POST is the only non-idempotent method in the HTTP stack. All the other methods are idempotent, meaning no matter how many times you use these methods from a client to a server or from a provider to a consumer, from a consumer to a provider, the state of the application will not be affected. Whereas POST, the state that's not guaranteed, so we call POST as a non-idempotent method. With these basics, now when you are coming up with RESTful services, as a provider, you will map the GET method to the methods in your services, no matter whether you are working on Java, Python, .NET. You will map each of these methods to corresponding methods on the services you write and expose out the functionality, so that when the browser or when a consumer of your RESTful services uses GET method, he will get the data. When he uses a PUT method, automatically the data is added to the database, etc. To take a simple example, the second most powerful feature of RESTful services is you can access them using plain URLs. There is no extra information that needs to be sent along with the HTTP request. You can simply send the entire request as a part of the URL. Here I have an example, amazon.com/order, and this is the order ID. Simply this URL, when we hit, this is just an example, you can't really try this out, but this is how a RESTful service might look like. Flickr is another good example where you can retrieve your photos using the RESTful services. It will be flickr.com/photos/the photo ID, and you can simply retrieve the picture from within an application or from within the browser. So it makes best use of the URL. It's very easy to retrieve the information, and along with this URL, you usually use one of these methods. These methods are mapped on the providing side. On the consumer side, you use these methods to retrieve the data or to send the information. On the provider side of RESTful services, we map these methods to the methods we write in our services in Java code or in Python or .NET to take the appropriate action. REST stands for Representational State Transfer, meaning the state of an application can be transferred between the web service provider and the consumer, or between the back end and the front end, like an UI, in different formats. That's the power of RESTful services. The same service can send data as XML or JSON. So the RESTful providers, the different frameworks out there, can serialize and deserialize the data into JSON format for web applications, for HTML pages and JavaScript pages. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It is very easy to be consumed by HTML and the UIs. Whereas if we have a .NET application and a Java application working probably, and if they want to use RESTful services to integrate with each other, this RESTful state transfer or representational state transfer can be in format of XML. Okay. Here are the several advantages of RESTful services. Uniform interface, that is, if you learn these methods, you are done. From that point, you just hit some URLs with these methods and the underlying business logic will be executed, and everything else is the domain and how we implement the logic as a provider. So we have one common interface finally. We need not send a SOAP action, etc. Then we have easy to access. As I have already said, RESTful services can be accessed like any other web resource out there simply using the URLs. Interoperable, that's the power of web services. Any language, any platform that has the support for HTTP libraries can provide RESTful services, at the same time can consume RESTful services. So a .NET application can easily communicate with a Java application or a Python application, etc. Stateless, this is another powerful feature of RESTful services. All these methods, as I said, except for the post, are stateless, meaning no matter how many times you execute these, the state of the application will not be impacted. With that statelessness, we have another advantage, scalability. So as the number of users increase, that's a big problem with applications today. There are millions of users accessing Facebook, Amazon, Flipkart, etc. We can easily scale out your applications because they are stateless. It's easy to have a clustered environment where you can deploy your application on several servers, etc. to support the performance improvement and scalability of your application. So to quickly summarize, RESTful services use the complete potential of HTTP and all the methods provided by HTTP. RESTful stands for representational state transfer. The state of an application, for example, an Amazon order can be sent from the provider to the consumer in several different formats supported like JSON, XML, etc. very easily. RESTful services can be consumed by a consumer like a program or an application, or it can be directly consumed by a browser in which HTML and JavaScript make use of the response that comes from a RESTful provider. They are very easy to access using URLs, and they provide a uniform interface just like SQL or any other standard. Now we learn only these methods, and the rest of it is taken care of the provider internally, or the domain will take care of it. They are interoperable, and their statelessness because of their idempotency make them even more powerful and scalable. In a future presentation, I will dive deeper into each of these details, how to map a URL to a particular stateful service on the server side, and how multiple services can be provided for a single particular RESTful service. Take care.